On everyone. Really quickly before we get into our cooking demo, I wanted to mention we do have a program coming up starting on November 13th. It's called Healthy Holidays. It's a great way to stay on top of your health and wellness throughout the holidays. We have one-on-one coaching, stuff like that. So really take advantage of this. You can register by scanning that QR code. And then obviously here we are doing these cooking demo holiday series, but this is not the only one. We have demos next week and the following week. So today we're doing the appetizer and then next week will be the side dish. And then we will finish it off with a dessert. So I'll stop sharing my screen and we will get into it. So like I said, today we are doing an appetizer and y'all voted and we chose the vegan spinach and artichoke dip. Now, this recipe, as I said, is vegan, but the cool thing about this recipe is that if you want to do dairy, you can easily substitute all of the vegan products for milk products. So that's totally doable. Couple things. I have all of my ingredients here. I'll kind of walk you through what we're going to be using. We've got artichokes, obviously. I got canned and they're quartered. And all I did was drain them. You could rinse them if you wanted to, but I didn't really feel the need to. So I just drained them and we will chop those up. Then we've got our cream cheese. Now, again, this is a vegan brand. It's called Kite Hill. I found all of these ingredients at my local grocery store, H-E-B in Texas, if you're familiar, but I'm sure Kroger, any of the normal grocery stores have these products. So Kite Hill, very popular, just plain cream cheese. We're going to use the full tub. And then I've got Parmesan. So this brand is called Follow Your Heart. It's just dairy-free Parmesan cheese. Show you up close. We'll use that as well. And then, you guys, it wouldn't be one of my recipes without making a few changes to the recipe. So y'all are getting the exclusive today. There are a couple changes I'm going to be making. The first is that I'm not going to be using any flour. The recipe does call for 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I'm taking it out. I looked at the recipe, I looked at the reviews, and some people said it just didn't seem necessary and it kind of tasted a little bit like flour. So I'm taking it out and I'm adding some mozzarella. It's going to be super cheesy. Again, this is Follow Your Heart mozzarella cheese. I'm going to eyeball it. I'm just going to go for it. We like cheesy in this household, so there you go. Spinach. This is baby spinach. Again, from H-E-B, any spinach will do, but this is fresh. Some recipes call for frozen. I'm sure you could use frozen. I don't think it would make a difference, but we're using fresh today. And then for our seasonings, we've got garlic salt. We've got red pepper flakes. And then we've got thyme, which, oh my goodness, I opened this and the smell of this just smells like Thanksgiving. So that's exciting. This recipe is a great thing to bring to Friendsgivings, if you're having a family get together, or if you're just watching football and you want a quick little snack to enjoy with the fam. This is a great option. It's simple. Like I said, minimal ingredients. And it's easy, and you're about to see how easy it is. So I preheated my oven to 350. My hands are washed and we're ready to go. So first, I'm going to start off by chopping these artichoke hearts. Up to you how big you want your pieces. I am going to do smaller than bite size. I still want it a little bit chunky, but I'm going to throw all of my ingredients into this bowl. These are super easy to cut, which is nice. They're already quartered, so it makes my life way easier. But this recipe does go in the oven after we finish, so it's going to bake for a little bit. So once I throw it in there, I will send everyone a picture of the finished product, because I'm sure you don't just want to sit here while something bakes, because that's not fun. but I will make sure to send a finished product of everything that went in it and to show you the cheesy goodness. All right. Almost there. I don't think I drained this very good, but hopefully we'll be okay. It didn't say to dry them or anything, so I didn't. So hopefully that's okay. But depending on how big you do your pieces, once we mix this all together, these artichokes are going to kind of spread apart a little bit more. So you don't have to cut them super small. All right. Last two right here. And we're doing the whole can. This can is 14 ounces. All right. So those are in there. We are done with our artichokes. The next thing we're going to have to chop up is our spinach. And we are going to use half of the bag. So I'm just going to guesstimate. We're going to start there. And the key to chopping up your spinach, make sure you can see, is to get it in a ball. Crunch it up. Okay. And then you're going to take your knife and just start to chop. Try to keep it tight in that ball as much as you can. And then you'll do it again. So you'll move it and then you'll pack it. And it's pretty messy.
Jenny, can you use frozen spinach? Like
yes.
The frozen chopped spinach?
I believe you can. I've seen recipes use frozen before, so I don't think that would be an issue.
Obviously, you defrost it and drain it.
Yeah, defrost and drain for sure. But this is the first recipe I've seen that used fresh spinach, which I kind of liked. But yes, you could definitely use frozen spinach for ease. All right, this is looking good and chopped. It's about half a bag. I might do a little bit more. All right, those are pretty small pieces. Going in the bowl. Oh yeah. All right. I'm going to do a small handful. Again, it said half of a 6-ounce bag, which that is 6 ounces. So it's going to do a little bit more. You can totally eyeball it, however much spinach you want. Throw it in there. So for this recipe, obviously with a dip, you need something to dip with it. So your options, I mean, are pretty much endless. If you wanted to go the traditional route, you could do tortilla chips. If you wanted to do a gluten-free option, you could do veggies, and I would suggest maybe carrot chips, cucumbers. Let's see, tomatoes would be good. There are a lot of options. And then next up, I'm going to pour the Kite Hill cream cheese. So again, this brand, Kite Hill, you can find it really anywhere. It's plain cream cheese, and we're putting the entire tub in there. And this was room temperature. So really make sure that you set your cream cheese out before you do this, because it makes your life so much easier. Okay, so that goes in. We're not going to mix yet. I got ahead of myself. Next, we are going to do, our seasonings. It's seasoning time. We're going to do a 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic salt. This is going to give it all the flavor. And this recipe says it does not lack flavor, so that's good. Then we've got red pepper flakes to spice and give it some spice. And then last one, we've got thyme leaves. So I need to cut one more thing. So for thyme, I'm going to do 1 sprig. Is that a word? Sounded right, but I don't know if it is. So what you do is you take, I think sprig is the right word. Let me know. Let me know if I'm totally making that up. But you're going to take the,
Sure,
okay, thank you. I'm like, why does that sound so weird? You're going to take the little leaves off of the stem. And you don't have to be too perfect with it because we're going to chop it up anyway. So it doesn't really matter if you get some stems in there. That's totally fine. And then once we get all of that off of the stem, we're going to chop. Same thing like we did with the spinach. You're just going to group it up and then give it a fine little chop. And it only calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm pretty sure 1 sprig, maybe a little bit more will be plenty. You don't need too much. It's a very potent flavor. All right. I'm going to throw that in. I'm going to do a little bit more. I want to be able to get all of that good flavor. Okay. We'll double check the recipe. We've got artichoke hearts, cream cheese, spinach. We've got salt, garlic salt, thyme leaves, red pepper flakes. And remember, I skipped out on the flour. The recipe does call for 2 tablespoons of flour. If you want to add it, you can. I really don't know what difference it would make. But some people said in the recipe that it did taste a little bit floury. So I just took it out. Oh, my secret ingredient. I almost forgot. Mozzarella. Follow your heart, mozzarella. I am just going to eyeball it because that's what I like to do in my kitchen. This is my kitchen. I can eyeball if I want to. That was about probably 1/2 cup, maybe less. And now we're just going to mix. So like I was saying, if you wanted to do vegetables to dip this in, you could. You could obviously do tortilla chips, but I just went to a restaurant this past weekend. And if spinach artichoke dip is on the menu, you best believe I'm getting it. So I did, and it came with crostini, which if you don't know what crostini is, it's basically a baguette, and they cut it up and they throw some olive oil, some salt, and you bake it. And so it's just basically little croutons. It was perfect. So good. So I highly recommend if you can, if you don't have any problems with bread or, gluten or anything like that, crostini, the way to go with spinach and artichoke dip. All right, we're giving this a good mix.
And are you sharing this recipe? I'm sorry, was it in the invite?
Yes, it is in the meeting invite. So if you open it up on Outlook, you'll see a link there that will take you right to the recipe. And then also, it's also on the Slack channel. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I'm just so excited to have this because I love this, but with family members that are lactose intolerant, it was a tough one to convert.
Yeah. Yep. This is a great recipe for all of those intolerances. I know a lot of us have them, so love that we were able to find this. It smells delicious. Let me just tell you. All right. It is about all mixed. And let me show you. This is what we're working with. Creamy, yeah. Looks and smells delicious. So from here, all we have to do is put it in our baking dish. I'm going to use this one. I think it's big enough. It doesn't really specify in the recipe how big of a baking dish to use. It says large, and this is definitely not large, but I think it'll fit. We'll see. So we're just gonna, step 1, spray. You don't want it to stick. Give it a light spray. You can use whatever you want to coat your baking dish with. Doesn't matter with me. I'm just using Pam. All right. Everything goes into your baking. Oh, this is perfect. Look at me. All right. And then you're just going to spread it out nice and even. And the Parmesan cheese, it says to sprinkle after it bakes. And that to me seemed a little odd, but I'm gonna listen to what the recipe says on that one because I'm scared if I put Parmesan cheese on top before it bakes, it might do something crazy. I don't know, but there we have it. All of that goodness is right in our baking dish. And we're gonna throw this in. I preheated my oven to 350 and it's gonna bake for 25 minutes. So once it comes out, 25 minutes, I'm gonna look at it. And if it needs more, I'll keep it in there. But one thing I will do is put my oven on broil for like 1 minute, not too long, at the very end of that 25 minutes to get a nice golden brown top on this, then pull it out and then sprinkle that Parmesan cheese. And again, I suggest if you're bringing this to a family gathering, you're bringing it to Friendsgiving, wherever you're bringing it, I would suggest making a little platter of dippers. So like I said, vegetables, carrot chips, cucumbers, tomatoes. Then you can have pita chips, tortilla chips, the crostinis if you want to be fancy. Lots of options for everyone to just dip and have fun. And that is our recipe. I'm going to throw it in right now, and then I will send y'all a picture once it's complete. I'll throw it in the chat so you can see the finished product. But that is it. Super easy. Not much to it. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in. I would love if y'all have questions, you can come off of mute, throw them at me. What you got?
So Jenny, the recipe doesn't have the mozzarella in it. You just went ahead and added that?
Correct. Yep. The recipe had flour. I took that out and then I added the mozzarella because I like it creamy.
I've done something similar to this that everything got mixed in, including the parm, and I cooked it in a slow cooker. And granted, it didn't end up being browned on the top, but in terms of like being easy to transport, it was brilliant. And there were no leftovers.
Love it. That's a great thought. You can easily put this in a crock pot, I believe. I almost threw some Parmesan in there to mix it and then put some on top afterwards, but I think it's fine with it just being on top. Maybe I'll do that next time, see how it goes.
So when I've made this dip similar, not the dairy-free version, but this similar dip in the past, instead of putting in a big like dish like you did, like an 8x13, I'll put it in a smaller, like a ramekin style or a smaller bowl, and then it makes two and freeze one. And then I can, because otherwise, and you can keep microwaving it to keep it warm or whatever, but then it's nice to, because you might not necessarily go through the whole dip unless that's a meal in it can be a meal in itself.
Right, exactly. I love that. Yeah. I feel like at restaurants, they normally serve it in those smaller dishes, the like boat style dishes. So that's a great point. I think this recipe is 10 servings. So do with that what you will. Could double it if you need to. Any...
Well, now I'm really hungry, so that's problematic.
Well, go home and make this. And just as a reminder, we are doing a raffle prize for our Cooking Demo Holiday Series. So we're giving away a big basket of kitchen goodies. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. And you can earn raffle entries by joining these live demos. So you will get a raffle entry for being on here today, but then you can also earn extra entries by posting a picture of a recipe you create on our Slack channel. So if you're not in our Slack channel, let me know, I can add you. And then, yeah, we'll pick a lucky winner at the end of this. So make sure you hop on to our cooking demos next week and the following week. It'll be fun. And next week we're doing Brussels sprouts with garlic and goat cheese. Yes.
Speaking of which, when we did the vote for the 3 appetizers, one of those that didn't win was the prosciutto and fig wrapped. Yes. Can you post that recipe even though you're not
on Slack?
demoing? Okay,
on Slack.
Perfect.
Yes. You'll see a post that I did this morning. It has this recipe and then it has the 2 others in case you voted for it. So you can look at that. Yeah, those recipes looked good. I might have to make those as well. Any other questions, comments?
this one might be a little bit of a wild one. So, a while back, some friends came over, and sometimes friends bring over freshly cooked stuff, and they leave the cookware at your house. And you want to make something in that cookware and then bring it back to them. And I'd like to do that with this dish. The problem is that it was a loaf pan, and I was thinking
Mm,
about it. And the loaf pan is probably big enough, and it's theoretically non-stick, but it's not, a Pyrex or a ramekin or something
right.
like that. So I'm wondering if you think that that would work.
I think it would. I think you can't really go wrong what you put this in. I'm gonna go
Right.
out a limb and go out on a limb and say that you'll probably be fine. The
Yeah, yeah,
cooking time might vary depending on what you put it in. So my
that makes
advice
sense.
would just be to watch it. And then when you pull it out, if you need to, make sure it's all warm, you want like a golden brown on the top. So just go based off of that. And I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and if it
So,
starts to get too brown or whatever, you could cover it with foil, I think, and then it
Yeah,
oh
would
yeah,
be able to heat
absolutely.
through more without burning or
for
something.
sure.
Yeah, don't want to
Exactly.
ruin their loaf pan.
Yeah, that would be not fun. Awesome. Any other questions, comments? Y'all are awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording. Again, that recipe is on Slack. It's in the Outlook invite, so you can find it there. And then I will be sending a picture of the